I think there's more in this podcast, if you're media buying at any level, than almost any other podcast we've had, because they're core strategies and principles I think anyone could drive out of this and really make their business better. Welcome, affiliated listeners, to another very special episode because we get to be in studio with a guest, all as a part of our Diamond. Let me say the right words. Not you didn't minimize it. Diamond. Our best clients on our platform happen to be in Boise and going up to Sun Valley for an amazing event. And so we get a little trickle and you get a little taste of some of the brilliance our Diamond event has to offer. And today we have probably one of our, if not our most prolific media buyers in the Facebook realm and Meta realm on our platform, is here today, and he's going to be sharing some of the things that's working for him on Meta that you guys have to know. So if you're out there, you're buying traffic on Meta, whether you're doing a lot of it, a little bit of it, you probably want to do more. We have our guest today that's going to allow you to understand some of those secrets and unlock some of that spend. Before we get into that, let me introduce delightful co-host who we didn't have on our last episode. How are you doing today, Thomas?
I'm doing great. I'm not nearly as tired as our guest here. Flew all the way from Dubai, and we dragged him off the plane to hop on this now. So
the best thing is I almost want them to guess who it is from Dubai, because it could be anyone at this point, right? But with that, let's introduce our amazing guest. We have Lee Johnson. Lee, how are you doing? Hopefully not too jet lagged from that flight to Dubai. I know it's brutal to say the least.
Hey guys, yes, I'm okay. Let's say 24 hours traveling. It's not the best night's sleep, but we're here. We're all good.
That's good. That's good. Well, we're glad you're here, and we'll get you vamped up, right? You just need a podcast. That's the best way to solve jet lag, is a podcast.
Let's make you think and talk while you're jet lagged.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like to do, especially with a recorded mic in front of me, because that's when brilliance happens.
No pressure.
To get things going, and when we do an in-person guest, we like to start with a drink, because drinking is just a big part of the culture of online marketing, right? We always seem to have a drink when we're doing business. Yeah, we're not alcoholics. We're just really good entrepreneurs that like the lubrication that drinking provides us. So with that, we have a delightful scotch. This is Longevin. It's a 12-year scotch. I think the bottle's in the trash because this is the last of it. So Lee, a truly high-class scotch for a high-class individual.
There we go.
Cheers, my friend.
To that.
So nice. Such good peatiness.
That is actually really nice.
Yeah.
It's delightful.
The funny thing is, so the guest yesterday that we had the, it's like, I can't drink while I'm on the podcast. So we just put water in there, and it was just Michael. But the whole time he could smell it. And he's like, man, I really wanted to have that scotch. That smells so good. So like, as soon as we were done, just poured him something. He was like, oh, yeah.
I feel like it's the first time I've had this. I feel like
it is definitely not the first time you've had it. Y'all have been sneaking
me like the actual bathtub stuff we have. Yeah.
Really? There's no way this is because we had it with Audie. You were in the podcast when we opened that bottle.
You're right.
Yeah.
I take it back.
So anyway, let's go and talk less about drinking with other clients and more about Facebook. So before we get into it, Lee, for those that don't know you, if you give us kind of the abridged version of kind of how you got here today. How did you get into media buying? You don't have to explain why you moved to Dubai, but obviously not from there originally. But just kind of give us your journey.
Taxes.
Yes. Funny enough, I have a friend from England right now getting reamed by taxes, and they are talking about how it's the worst country ever. And so I was like, France, just look up that. That's much worse. Anyway, so, but less on taxes and France and more on, your journey that brought you to affiliate marketing, being very successful, and in this seat today.
Okay, so for me, in terms of affiliate marketing now, it's been about 5 or 6 years. What led me into that was I got into online coaching initially, and knew through online coaching like ClickBank. So I don't think I've ever shared it with you guys, but at one point, maybe 7-8 years ago, I probably had a product on ClickBank.
No way.
More like a digital product. Not much was done with it.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine from Bermuda had like a Muay Thai gym. So we did like an online fitness fighting sort of
awesome.
online product.
So you're doing online coaching in the fitness space?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So I came from before I knew anything online existed. I was an personal trainer.
Nice.
And I think it was 2015, I went to Canada for a seminar and found out about the fitness space and what people were managing to do online. So I went down the online coaching route when the in-person, the business broke up. So I had to make a decision. Do I go find another studio and set up and bring my clients that I had? or, oh, that online thing sounded really interesting. Let's do that. So yeah, I went down the online route. Did that for a couple of years. But during that, people in the mastermind, the people who were seeing the quicker success was honing in on one skill. So they were funnel building, or they were helping people set up podcasts. And at that time, I was like, one of my sons is about 6 months old, and I was like, okay, no, I need to see some quick results. I need to be providing for my family. Because
kids will do that, man. They'll accelerate the need for results real fast.
Exactly. So I decided to the few little bit I'd done on Facebook for the online coaching side of things. I was like, okay, I did those ads, lost money, got clients in, but didn't make any money from it. But I liked it. Let me go down that line.
So real fast. So you lost money on it, but you still liked it. So that was the because it's weird to say I failed at this. I'd like to do more of that. When you're beginning to, so what about Facebook do you like? The media buying process.
I think it was just the possibilities you can see. Okay. Like the people I got in were good people. You know, you could I wouldn't have known these people. So at the time when I was doing it, I was online coaching for single dads. I managed to pull these people in, managed to help them transform their lives. I just wasn't financially successful with it. So I was successful with the coaching,
was good, but yeah.
So just seeing that possibility. So I just knew, right, okay, I need to focus and get better at that. Because if I could get better, and I can not only get good people in, but be financially profitable from it, win-win.
Yeah.
So yeah, at that time there was a lot of setting up your own agency courses about. So I was very close to joining one of those. But then an affiliate course came out, and I knew the person who created the affiliate course because he'd done ads for the person who I was in the mastermind for. A few of the people in the mastermind joined the course. So I was like, okay, let's try this. So yeah, it'll have been maybe 6 years ago around this time the course came out. Joined the course and not look back.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
so
it's
many
just,
diamonds awards later and all sorts of fun stuff and a move to Dubai and a changed life. That's gonna be pretty amazing.
Obviously it's changed my life massively. You know, I've come from growing up in the north of England where I lived. I didn't leave an hour out of where I was born, literally.
Was that in Manchester or where?
So close to Manchester, so Leeds.
Leeds,
so,
okay, yeah.
Grew up around
Lee from Leeds.
Lee from Leeds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Didn't move like an hour away from where I was born. And then, 2 years ago, literally nearly to the day, it was about April 1st or 2nd, 2 years ago, moved to Dubai. So, that was such a big move. Obviously, this just... Not only do I enjoy affiliate marketing, it's the freedom that comes with it as well. You know, it's wherever my laptop is where my work is. We did a lot of holidaying in Dubai, and we just kept going back to England and be like, if we were in Dubai, we'd be doing this. And
there's no clouds in Dubai.
It's like, wow. Exactly. Yeah. And
I'd love to go to a place with no rain. Growing up in London or England forever. Yeah.
And having a job like this, it was, I can do it from anywhere. So why not do it from somewhere that you want to be and enjoy? And obviously we've got family and it's great for them, safety. And it's been a really, really good move. And obviously it is affiliate marketing that's allowed that. I couldn't have done it otherwise.
How have you balanced because I find clients who can scale like you have, there's a lot of stressors that happen with that, right? Like a lot of things can break as you scale, a lot of problems to figure out. And the benefit of that you described of being able to work anywhere also can be a con when you have a growing family where it's like hard to turn off. Like, I was just curious if you have any insights onto how that has been for you through this last 6 years.
As a man with the second kid, that's 1 year old.
How the hell do you?
How do you balance?
Okay, so I'd say a few different things. You have to be, I guess, a certain type of character. There is the advantages to affiliate marketing, the freedom and everything that comes with it. But you've also got to have the drive to be able to know that as much as your family and you love being around your family, you can't just let that distract you too much. Obviously, having an amazing wife helps, supportive, someone that can understand that you need that focus time. Because that is a big thing for me, that I do need that focus time. And again, it's that in and out of it. Obviously, when the kids are around a lot more and they're off school holidays, then they're always about. So it's nice, but also you know that you're maybe not going to get that sharp focus all the time when that's happening. But it's just been, for me, a ongoing year on year. So I've started this affiliate marketing, like I said, when my son was 6 months old. So he's 7 now. So I've sort of, I guess, grown up with that. And then my other son's 3 years old now. So it's just been one of those of, do I have it perfect? No, but just understanding, okay, I need those times. So for me, I'm very much a morning focused person. So I'll get up before the house is awake just to get some time before they're there. But then that means I've had that little bit of focus time. Doesn't mean I'm always sat there doing ads first thing in the morning, but just having that time for the mental space. And then obviously they're up, I can enjoy breakfast with them, see them off to school, and then making sure I've got that morning there of, right, okay, this is my time now to get into ads and focus. So yeah, it's tricky, especially having this job. Like you said, you can do it from anywhere, but a lot of the times I am doing it from home. I'm not off out to an office away from.
I'm posting
the
pictures by the pool somewhere.
Yeah, so the pool,
Top
the beach.
lifestyle. Yeah.
So it is, luckily I have a big drive for that, but it comes with the consequences of also that I also need to feel like I've done so much with work to then be able to switch off and have family time. So there is pros and cons with that. So if like there'll be certain times with the family that something will go on and I won't be able to do the full amount of work, and it does play on you where like, oh, I just haven't done that. And then you with the family, and yeah, of course you got that family time, you're enjoying it, but I'm a much better person with the family when I've done like, okay, I've had this amount of time. Yeah, have I done lots extra? Like on a weekend, I do work weekends, but I'll only work a few hours on a morning because then I'm like, okay, I've done what I need to do. Right, now I can switch off and enjoy time with the family.
Is it just not weighing on your mind as much? Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, pros and cons with it. It offers the freedom, but then there's the times where like my sons have a Christmas play or a sports day. I have that flexibility to be able to go and see that. I'm not stuck in an office where, sorry, sons, I can't come, I can't get out of work. I have that flexibility. So you've just got to sort of weigh it up where it comes flexibility as long as you have, because it would be easy. If I didn't have as much drive as I do for the business, it would so be easy just to sit in front of the TV all morning or be playing with them. Like my sons are always like, oh, will you play this with me, play that with me? And I'll do a little bit, but there has to come a point where I'm willing to, sorry, I've got to go do a little bit of work. And it's just knowing like, okay, give them what they need. You want to be there. Yeah. That's a point, but also understanding, I'm doing this to support you, give you this lifestyle. Sometimes dad just has to go off.
You got to work for that flexibility, right?
Yeah, and trips like this as well. You know, it's got coming away from them. But again, they've grown up with that, so they know that like, okay, dad goes on these trips. It's for work, and they know the benefits that come from it, i.e., the being able to move to Dubai.
Enjoying that Dubai life, right? Yeah, for sure. Curious because I do love the waking up early thing. I don't know if now I'm just thinking it's a dad thing because I love like being awake before everyone else in the household is the best.
It's your time, yeah.
It's probably the only time my brain like. Without it, I'm a much worse person if you don't have that period. But focus and getting work done. So how early, like how many hours before? I'm curious. I'm not sure if you're on like the Mark Wahlberg 2 a.m. schedule. Okay. Like I'm like, who does that, right? Like when bars close, Mark Wahlberg wakes up. You know, that's a little extreme. But curious how early it is for you.
Okay, so I'm flexible with that. Okay. So if I'm on it, like, okay, I'm going to be rigid. I do like that sort of like 1.5 to 2 hours before the household gets up. Obviously, with Dubai, everything's a little bit earlier now. They all start school earlier and things like that. So it has been pushed forward. So I'm not going to be the Mark Wahlberg getting up super early in the morning. It just doesn't work.
Going to bed at 7 o'clock.
So yeah, I'd say for me, a minimum of an hour, then I'm okay. Obviously, I know I get more mental clarity and can do a little bit more if it's that 1.5 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, like now the kids are up at like 6 a.m. So, sort of I'll maybe be up between 4 and 5.
Yeah. Gotcha. So. That's understandable, but I'm also like, damn, kids, go back to sleep.
I'm curious on the business side as you've scaled, what were some things that felt like huge problems and big stressors to you that now you're like, okay, that wasn't as big of a deal as I thought?
So there's always something that'll come along. That's the thing. That's the biggest. There's lots of individuals, and it's just getting to a point of understanding there'll be always something that comes along and stops you. And sometimes you won't know what it is. So, for example, like starting out, it used to be like ad account shutdowns. Those happened a lot more to me 4 or 5 years ago than they do now. And that was a massive thing. You know, you'd have ads running, doing well, account shutdowns, so that's it. It'd be all gone. And it was like the end of your life, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It hit you hard.
You're locked out of being able to do the thing you're trying to do. Yeah.
And especially when you're getting those early levels of success and you're like, yeah, printing money. And then it's like, boom, done.
Boom.
And you can talk to no one. There's no one to, what do you do? Yeah.
And you question yourself then, because it's also then, right, okay, you've got to get started again. Am I going to be able to make this work again? But obviously, 5-6 years down the line, don't get me wrong, you know, things still happen. They still affect you, because I guess if they didn't, you maybe wouldn't have that same drive to do it. But now when things go wrong, it just doesn't hurt as much. I've recovered enough times to understand that I can believe in myself that, okay, yeah, things have fallen off, but I will make it work again. It always comes around. Those quiet times, because like any business, affiliate marketing up and down. So you're not going to have those high levels all year round. It's like that holy grail of like, okay, I want consistency. And don't get me wrong, there are things that I've put into place that help with that consistency, but it's not perfect. That
makes sense. How much of you getting past those problems was being in something like a course or a mastermind, and how much of it was like, no, I just can figure it out myself?
So I think initially part of a course and mastermind was super important to me. I honestly don't think I'd be here without it. I am very much a person, and to be honest, if there was something now, I'd still be in it, you know. I am still in like marketing, like masterminds, not specifically affiliate marketing. But I don't think I would be here without the initial course, because I'm very much a person who likes to see what's possible, see someone's achieved it, and I can push towards that, because I know if someone's done it, right, okay, it's possible. I can make it work.
5-minute mile, right?
Yeah, exactly. So initial success, definitely. Course mastermind. But I also believe if there is one, I would always be part of one, because there's always that extra drive. So it's that balance of like, a course will take you so far. You know, it will only take you so far, and then you may need to try find another course, or you get so far and then it becomes just you learning and that. But I do believe, like, even now, if I knew, okay, right, this person's further ahead of me and they've got this course, I'd be jumping at it, because I know that would accelerate me even further. So I do believe I'm always learning. I love self-development. I love improving. I love always that's to me, like, out of anything, like activities I enjoy, is something that I can be like, okay, that's benefiting me in some form of way, mentally, physically, business-wise. So anything that will drive me ahead, but I know I can only do so much myself. So yeah, I do wish there was something where right now, and there isn't. You know, for me right now, it's more improving skills. So I know so much from affiliate marketing, but I know I'm not the best marketer. I know there's some people that are so much better than me. So learning those marketing skills that maybe they're not doing it in affiliate marketing, but I can pull that into improved ad copy and being able to talk to people. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't be here today without a course.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, about continued education, because I find that people can go through courses like yourself can get very locked into a certain way of doing things. Like they learn from someone who teaches a very specific way of ad buying or how to generate a creative, right? But things change, or there's different ways to do it. And if you keep just doing the one way you've always done it, if that tactic stops working, or if you can kind of be left behind.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Absolutely. And especially with Facebook, things are changing all the time.
Yeah.
And that can be the pros and cons of a course, because a lot of the times, like you say, a course is just one specific way of doing it. And if you are locked into that, it could be that just that specific way stopped working. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you can't be successful. So yeah, it's a good way to, okay, learn this way and get so far with it, but you do have to adapt. You do have to learn different ways and start to believe in yourself and your experience of, like, for me, especially with Facebook, it's the mistakes I've made along the way will be, okay, I'm struggling. And then I'll be like, okay, what's that person doing? What's that person doing? And try and chase these tactics all over the place. and I'll do that, and I probably won't because I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try that. Oh no, that didn't work. Okay, I'll try that. And then what normally happens for me to pull back into success is actually, okay, no, come back to myself, believe in myself, read my ad account. What are my ads showing me? Because this is the thing, it's different. Like that tactic works, but they're making that work for that specific ad account and that specific product.
A very specific way and how they're selling. Like it's all centered around the tactics. You
Yeah.
can't necessarily pull it out and shove it into your business.
A lot of the times, not every tactic is going to work all the time, but to be honest, most tactics will work. It's just different times for different people for different. So it's more building a toolbox of these tactics and understanding, okay, what am I seeing? So getting down to it, as silly as like, okay, duplication or upping the budgets or things like that, they all work, but just try it. Has it worked for you? Okay, no, that doesn't seem to be working. Okay, I've got this other option. And just be willing to be flexible with that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say what I really loved about that. I think that the driving force, and you mentioned the word drive multiple times, is you, though, that you said at the same time. You said, I love personal growth. I'm just really someone who's always looking to learn. And I think you go back to that example of like, hey, those challenges and those problems, like they were so devastating, but you powered through, right? You trusted in yourself and powered through. And I always makes me think of the Matthew McConaughey in Greenlight's book. He's like, enjoy the good times when they're happening because they're not forever, right? And it's the same thing with business. But I think one thing I really love, just want to highlight, is your personal drive got you. The drive for better, the drive for more, the drive to just trust in yourself, right? And develop in yourself is truly what got you to the success level, right? You took the course, but it's limited. You had a ceiling, right? You had to break through that. So that happens through that, at least where I could see that determination, the discipline of self-improvement and just wanting more. So freaking kick, man. We'll quack that out. Kick. And that is a quack that just happened right there. Yeah. Anyway, so, well, the one thing you said that I think is really good time to transition. You mentioned in Facebook, it's about all the different tactics having a toolbox. So let's actually transition to that to the Facebook environment right now. So obviously you're an expert in this, especially in the affiliate marketing world. And a lot of people are struggling with Meta right now in lots of different ways, whether it's
early 2025. There's been a lot of changes lately with
whether
all
it's
sorts of things.
not being able to optimize on their ad cart, because it's a health offer, or CPMs are so expensive, or my conversions are down, or my ads don't work, or blah blah blah. All the excuses you probably had people asking you about, right? So what we really want to talk about is not the things that aren't working, but what are the things that you do see? And we know that you're not going to give all your secret sauce, but if you give us a sprinkle of some things that really are impacting and working well, and one that I'd love to actually start and lead off with. We'll come back to that because there's one thing that I really like. But yeah, if there's just anything that stands out to you, like right now, they're like, oh, this is really cool. More people should be doing this.
I would say this is the thing, I can answer this for me.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that that's the only thing. So for myself, I'm very much into images, where I know people are being good with videos as well. But
talking ad creative, right?
Ad creative,
Static
absolutely.
images, right?
Static images versus video.
You're not doing any like GIFs or animated anything.
Literally,
on that, just
no,
totally
just,
static.
just for me, static.
Is it static or is it carousel or is it just like
Just static.
Yeah.
Just literally just.
How many
just
times do we
one
get them to
image.
say just static?
Just static.
Yeah.
Static.
Do they move? Do they?
So I because I know those, I know what to expect for them. I know what to look out for them. Whereas I know I've got good friends in the game that are making it work with videos, but I know that the way they do it with videos is different. Like testing's different with videos, scaling's different with videos. It works, but it's a different play. So I guess it's just picking one and deciding, right, okay, I'm going to be good at that. Again, it's the whole don't be try this, try that, because just don't, things aren't going to work first time. And if you keep switching around, there's the level and balance between being willing to flow when like things are showing you versus just being sporadic and all over the place. So I know I keep testing videos here and there and not really seeing a lot of success with them, but I know the work when you know that. So for my success, I'm sticking with images, and specific tactics that are working for me right now is just testing low budget. So that doesn't, for me, low budget would be just like $25 a day on each image.
Yeah.
I'll test maybe like 6 to 12, just depending how many I'm wanting to do.
And on those images, what is the variance of differences? Because I've heard some people, they'll just do same copy in like 5 different colors, and then like how varied are they?
So for me, like it's just the images that are different. So I've got ad copy that I know works already. I've got a landing page that I know works and a headline that I know works. So I'm just changing one variable, which is the image. And between that, let's say I'm doing 6 to 12. If it's 6, I might just have like 2, 2, and 2. So 2 will be similar. Another 2 will be similar, another 2, but those 3 will be different. So one I might have gone into Canva, and I might just be doing like quadrant stuff. So I'll do just different variations of that. Another one's literally just taking a photo of something. So go into your kitchen, put some items together, take a photo. And then another one maybe just like a white background with some images across it. So like nothing crazy, but I obviously over this time I know what works, so I'll have that and just slight variations of them, and then all I'm doing is putting that into and just seeing either what Facebook's favouring at the moment or what the customers, what people are viewing. And for image wise, I'm looking at the costs. This is again what I feel varies video to. Whereas when you got a video, you're probably looking a lot on sales as well, because videos can be they're more a selling. They're copy. People are watching the videos, listening to the copy, what's in the videos, and there's a lot of more pre-selling. Whereas with images, all I'm doing for the image is getting them to stop the scroll.
Yeah.
So if people, you always need to imagine what people are doing and what are they doing when they're seeing their ad. They're just scrolling through Facebook, and something's going to make them stop.
Just for that pattern interrupt.
Exactly. But do I realistically think what is in my image is actually helping with the sale at the end? No, they've probably, by the time they've looked at my image, read my ad copy, gone through to my landing page, watched a long VSL, they've probably forgotten what's in the image. So the image is there purposely just, something that causes interest to stop. Then that pulls them into the ad copy.
Yeah.
I know I've got good ad copy, so I do very story-based, long-form ad copy. And that's what's
just
selling
like basically
them.
below on the notes, right? Like for the ad, it's just right there.
Yeah, so it'll be just above the image. So when when they initially see it, they'll only see maybe about 2 or 3 lines. So those 2 or 3 lines are very important, because then they need to click see more to actually then read it all. So for me, that image is just there to be like, okay, what's making people stop the most at the moment? So that's then me getting good costs to the VSL.
Yeah.
And I could go
When you
through.
say good costs, what's the primary metric in Facebook you're analyzing?
Your CPC?
CPC, but as long as it also gets them to the VSL. So I'll see sometimes I could get a low CPC in Facebook, but if they drop off on my landing page, it doesn't matter. So it might be you could get a super clickbaity image, but then if it's really just like, they're just clicking that because something you've put in the image, get through to the landing page, and they're like, okay, I'm not interested. Well, then, you might get a cheap click there, but they're not getting through to the VSL. So, yes, am I looking for CPC on Facebook? Yes. But I'm also looking at my landing page CTR to make sure that it's still in a good percentage that gets them through to the VSL. So, realistically, cost to the VSL is probably what's most important. Gotcha. So, between those two.
That makes a ton of sense. Thanks for breaking that down.
Yeah.
Because
So cost of VSL too is, I'm wondering, so you take your ad costs and then how many clicks you got from your landing page, and so that's that calculation.
Yeah, exactly. How many people clicked on my lander? Because sometimes, so let's just say average of 50% CTR on the landing
right, because
page.
for a $25 a day ad budget for that image, you can't really expect high conversions or sales even.
Exactly.
So that's your first metric of success.
So only specifically for images. So then I'm taking those cheap clicks, because I know if I was changing my ad copy, it'd probably be a different story, because then that new ad copy variation may not sell as well. But because I know my ad copy works, that's why I can go for cheap clicks, because I'm not changing my ad copy variable or my landing variable. I'm just looking what specifically works right now.
Is it fair to say then, like, you're more established, so the things you're looking for are kind of that cost of VSL, because once you get that at a good rate, you can probably scale it and expect conversions. If you're newer, are you looking at more? It feels like you're kind of moving more upstream to like, what's just my cost per click almost? Like, is that decent, or is this ad even working to click? And then it's almost click-through rate of lander. Is that okay?
Yeah, when you're newer and you're not sure in it, so I can run like that, because it's like, okay, I know my funnel works. All I'm seeing is what's working currently right now, because that can be a mistake as well. If you've got something that's working, it will always drop off. Doesn't mean what you've got there is wrong. You know, it doesn't mean suddenly your funnel's not longer working. So if someone's a little bit the next step ahead and they've had some success but it's fallen off, don't go changing crazy. Just do some small alterations to those, if it was images that work, and try it again. Because that will be what I do a lot of the times. I'll just do slight alterations to the images, re-upload them, and then my campaign kicks in again.
Yeah.
Whereas,
because almost like what might just not be working is the ad isn't getting the pattern interrupt anymore, and you just need a new pattern interrupt. Right?
or there could be something just went on with Facebook and it threw your campaign off, you know, or you just...
The black box of the Facebook algorithm is always tough, I'd imagine, to deal with.
Yeah, a friend was telling me how he approached split testing. I'm curious if you agree, where it's like, he's looking at, it's like, okay, when you're starting out, not necessarily skill level wise, just with a new campaign.
Who is this, by the way?
This is Robbie Amaro.
Okay,
yeah. And he's talking about, it's like when you're starting on a new campaign, right? You're split testing big things, like you said, 2 to 3 different, totally different ad creatives, right? You're just trying to see what's working, big bold changes, all that kind of stuff. Once something is scaled, whatever that means for you, now you're testing small, right? You don't necessarily want to test really big things on your proven winner, but you're kind of tweaking and keeping the optimization going as things fatigue, and you're kind of keeping it maintained. Is that kind of what you're saying there? Or
because again, it's if you've got something working, run with it. Don't go crazy changing it, because that can be the mistake you make. Is like, okay, I've got something working. And again, everything's a fine balance, and this is the tricky part of this game. You know, a lot of it was you can follow so many rules, but a lot of it just comes down to gut feeling and experience. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. If you've got something working, keep running with it as much as possible. And if that just means those small tweaks, just to make it fresh in Facebook's eyes, or just to keep things going, then yeah, absolutely. There'll be that difference between don't go crazy of how much you change, because you could take something that's working and just completely throw it off. Just
ruin it all, Yeah, over-optimize is what Perry used to call it. You optimize yourself away from conversions because you're changing something and it gets so Frankenstein. You're miles away from where you started.
A lot of times you'll do it in good intentions because you think, okay, I've got something working, right, I need to get something else. Because what happens if this drops off or anything like that? But then that can sometimes cause that to drop off because you then over here rather than capitalizing on all that hard work you've just made. It's that fine balance of like, okay, I need to do something to keep things going, but also no, your main focus wants to be on what's working right now. Capitalize when you've got something. But then going back to what you mentioned, and maybe someone's that's at that earlier stage, it's knowing like what to expect from a funnel and just always looking at those key components of like, where's the biggest needle mover? So you do need that. That's why I said a course is super important, because that gave me that initial like, what should I expect from my Lander CTR? What should I expect from my costs? You need to have benchmarks.
I mean, even in the ballpark, right?
Yeah, it's like, and if you don't have benchmarks, I guess what you could just always think, okay, I need to improve something. But for me to have the benchmarks, I know where my weakness is. So I know, right, okay, what's going to be my biggest needle mover? So if I've set a funnel up and it's not, the costs to the VSL are too expensive, or it's just not quite getting the sales, I know to look through my funnel and be like, okay, there's my weakness. Let me focus on that, improve that, right, now let me test it. But yeah, if I'm testing like a newer funnel, or it's to a product I've not tried before, or even a niche I've not tried before, of course I'm not just looking for cheap clicks, because I don't know this works. So then I will run tests for longer, and I'll make sure some sales come in as well. But for me, in terms of on image ones, I'm not specifically like, as long as my campaign's getting sales as well, you know, like I will still look for sales now when I'm testing, but I don't be like, okay, because what sometimes I'll find is maybe my cheapest ones didn't get sales. That doesn't mean that they aren't good. It's just the budget's too low.
Sure.
So as long as my overall campaign's got maybe 1 or 2 sales.
Is there a dollar amount or number of clicks to VSL that you have like a gut check for, of like, okay, I've tested this long enough, I can make a reasonable guess that this isn't working or is working? Is there like a minimum threshold you kind of look at, or is it
more of a feel?
It's a feel. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. At this stage, this is the hard bit where if, at one point I'd maybe had that sort of black and white, okay, this amount and go like that. But now, like, I'll literally, if I know what I've got's working, I'll only run that test for a day. And that's hardly spending anything on each of those images. But if I know what I'm looking for and I'm like, okay, these costs are good, right? Okay, go from that to maybe like a 2K scaling campaign. It's a massive jump. I've got the confidence behind it to know, okay, this works. Whereas just you go by what you feel. So if I'm not as confident, I may just go to a $500 scaling campaign, or I'll run my test for longer. There's so many options that you can do just depending on what level you're at, and that'll grow.
Yeah.
Like for me, as I've been doing this, wow, I remember the times where $25 is all I ran. Well, to be honest, the first ad I think I ran with $5.
Yeah.
Literally, like $5 is what I started like out on my test. But then I remember like at one point being able to start an ad for $2,000 on one ad. That was just like mind blowing. But that happens, it's the whole growing phase of like now that'll be my first step on a scale. And it's like, it just becomes normal. But that's now for me. It wasn't at one point. Everyone's at their different stage, and it's just learning to, especially with ads, there's so much flexibility there. You work them to where your confidence level is, where your financial level is, or anything like that. There is that much flexibility in it.
Yeah.
I've just recently, with a couple of campaigns, or one specifically, I am just running those $25 and just going back to maybe old style, what I've not done for a long time, and just like duplicating the 25s or duplicating that 25 up to 50 and just keeping those budgets. And that still works, I just, for specific reason, I just wanted to do that with that specific campaign because I wasn't doing my usual tactics of scaling as big on it. And it still worked well. So, it's not that you have to come in like, oh, it's only going to work if I have lots of money behind me or anything like that. These still work if what you're running's good. And you've just also got to understand that the big issue now as well, like 4 or 5 years ago for me, if I really improved my ad copy or anything like that, I used to see big jumps. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of like spy tools and everything about. Everyone's level's a lot higher now because everyone can see what everyone else is running. And you need to find your own ways of standing out, and just it no longer works where like, because I can run really good ad copy, but that ad copy is probably going to be out there across
once you scale it
across the board. So it's no longer, which also means you can't expect just to take someone else's ad copy and it to work, because it just doesn't, because everyone's running at that good level. So it's just, this is where it comes back to working in your own ad account and like seeing what signs you're getting, and knowing when to push. And the biggest thing is consistency.
Yeah.
Out of anything at all, it's that consistency and capitalizing when things are good and not losing too much when it's just not quite working.
Yeah.
And understanding that, because I know people who have like done really well at this right in the beginning, within the first like 2-3 months, maybe made like $100K in a month, like life-changing sort of money. But then they spent that, and then they had the down month, and that was it. They were starting from the beginning again.
Sure, yeah.
So you got to understand these ups and downs, and just, it's a business. And as much as it's a lifestyle as well, this business, it isn't. It's a very different to that. You've got to understand there are ups and downs of it. You just need to set that business up of like, okay, there are ups and downs, consistency, capitalize when it's good, but just understand it won't always, because something will come along and you won't always know what it was. It could be that I always have trouble around Black Friday. That period, I just struggle to run ads, and just understand that happens. Or Facebook will have, like a couple of Fridays ago, Facebook had some ad delivery issues, and I lost a chunk of money there.
There's some affiliates asking recently, like, hey, something going on with like conversion rates at the end of the month, like, or performance are going down. And it's like, well, it's probably more of a macroeconomic trend where people have less money at the end of the month and they're not spending as much.
Literally, the Walmart CEO came out and said that people are spending, they're running out of money at the end of the month faster. So they're seeing spends on smaller items to basically supplement people. So yeah, there's weird trends now that we're seeing in just buying trends.
You'll see more police and security at those big box retail stores at the end of the month because their theft is going up.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
or weird trends like email. The third Thursday is actually the most high converting.
That's when paychecks
Thursday.
land.
Yeah, because that's most common day for paychecks to happen is the third Thursday. And the first one, you have a lot of beginning of the month bills, but that soft one in the middle of the month towards the end is like the time that people are like, I have all the money, right? You know, the irresponsible buying time.
So next week we're going to the Payday Loan Center.
Yep, exactly. So, but hey, knowing those trends, like you said,
But yeah,
be more
that's
precise.
it's knowing those trends and knowing there can be so many different things that happen.
Yeah.
So it's also just accepting these things come along and not waste too much time trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah.
Because then your focus can be like, oh, was it this? Was it that? Well, okay, something happened. Right, what do I need to do to then get moving
It's like
forward?
control what you can control.
Yes.
Right. There's so much in this world we can't control. Whether it's macroeconomic, whether it's Facebook changing something in the algorithm, right? But it's like
I
you
think
can
the
keep
entire world
executing
of
on
media
it.
buying is really giving up control because there's so much you can't control or even know what's going on. Like that black box of the algorithm is a real thing. So, no, I mean that was great. Like, so, just a couple things I wanted to highlight because I think you said it earlier when you said, you know, really I just get in this flow state, and it was such a beautiful description of the flow state, which is you look and you just know when to push, when to pull, when to go here, when to try this thing, and that comes through all that experience. The other thing I really want to highlight, especially people out there, they think like, what's working, right? What's really working, and I really love that you talked about, is it's isolating the steps of your funnel and what it means and what that means to the overall thing. So you agree, think, hey, the images are just the stop. This is my getting me to the page. Then from there, I evaluate the CTR. But it's breaking it down in these little increments of each part and then knowing what that should be doing. I think that's a really, really big miss thing. When I see people that struggle with testing, it's because they don't look at it that way. They don't look at the parts and what it should be doing. I've even had people with split testing before, and I was like, no, your goal here is just to get them to go to the next step. Like, we don't need to be, you're not winning the sale at this point. We just need to get them from here to here. This sells them. This gets them from here to here. So I really love that description. I think it's just a really, really powerful thing. Now, one question I wanted to ask that we mentioned a while ago, just out of curiosity, because I know you're doing static to like a pre-sale land or a landing page. My understanding is a lot of people that do video, they just go from video straight to VSL. Is that your understanding too?
I think that varies. I'm hearing that a little bit more recently.
Okay.
But I still know people running video. So the people I know in terms of friends who are good affiliate marketers in the game, they're still running to a lander.
Okay.
So that might just be a short lander, might be a quiz lander. But yes, am I hearing more that people are starting? Because at one point, like when we get started, there'd be no chance we could have run straight to a VSL. It had just been rejected straight off the bat. So at one point, that wasn't an even option for us. So we've just got so used to running through landing pages. Now, I definitely feel for images, landing page is important because you not got that 2 to 3 minute video on Facebook that's doing a lot of the selling.
Yeah.
Whereas now with these certain style videos, it is possible to run direct to a VSL, and I feel Facebook allow more now, so you can get away with doing that. But no, I'd still say that's an option to test. I don't have enough personal experience, but I am hearing it from two different sides. People I both trust. I know that some are doing it well straight to the VSL, some are doing it well still with a landing page.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and it's interesting. I've actually heard more the reverse. I've been hearing a lot of the direct. That made a weird sound, I'm sure. But is more people going back to landers and seeing actually increased success from the landers, which has been interesting to hear.
As a pure affiliate, do you touch retargeting at all?
No.
Okay.
I've not done that at one point, but yeah, it's. I guess a lot of this comes down to time, energy, and focus.
Yeah.
And what you're going to get most out of. And for me, I know how to run specific story-based ad copy with images, and that's what I know. To then go into, start retargeting and all this side of it, that would be then a different thing. So yeah, for me, no, it's like sticking in my lane with what I know.
I love that. Yeah, there might be a course for that in the future, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, we're getting close on time, and really appreciate what you've shared with us. This has been awesome. So, I'd love if you could give. I know we had a lot of different options, things we were going to talk about. Like we scratched the surface, guys. For listeners out there, I think we're going to have to bring Lee from Dubai again sometime, or take our podcast over there. If you give us maybe just one other tactic or tip or anything that you've seen, hey, whether it's a vertical, a niche, or something you're seeing, I think more people should focus this on Facebook. And then we'll let the people go and go get some food, because I bet you're probably a little bit hungry.
So what we discussed earlier was the one of the biggest tactics that has changed for myself, and this depends. Like at one point, a few years ago, I was just only on weight loss, and I used to just focus on that one weight loss, and that was it, and scaled up. My tactics of
one offer at a time.
Try and find that best one offer and scale. And again, I still know some people doing that and successful with it. But for me right now, I'll go across different niches. So I don't do weight loss anymore, but I'll do the side niches. So be that the nerve, the fungus, the
diseases of aging, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I will normally have one or two at a time, and that can change. What I know I can run and know does well. And if those are doing well, I'll then test to like 2-3 more. So I might be testing 5 at a time. And that just helps build a landscape in terms of, if I'm only got one, I don't know if it's that specific product that's an issue or that campaign's an issue. Whereas if I'm split over maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, then I can get an overall feel for what's going on. And if they're all struggling, it's probably Facebook. Facebook is just having an off day. If only one's struggling, I know, right, okay, well, that's either the product or that specific campaign, right, I need to focus and change something on that one.
That's smart. Yeah.
So it helps give me a little bit of an overarching, and also it allows me to, there's not as much pressure. So if you're only focused on one, there's that pressure of like, okay, push, and you could end up just losing a lot of money. Whereas if I'm focused over, say, 3 to 5, I could just be at that test phase. And if I'm in the test campaign and I'm not seeing the costs in a good place, I'm not going to push into the scale. So I could just be at a low budget cost. But then the ones that are in line with that, so it also allows you to sort of capitalize what's working, because maybe just right now, nerve's super expensive. So, okay, I just won't push that one as much. But these ones over here are good. And when it comes to these sort of niches that I'm playing with now, like you said, you're solving a specific problem. So if you know how to run that and you've got one working, just you're going into the VSL, you're listening to the problems, you're listening to the benefits. You can keep very similar structures, but you're just tweaking those problems and benefits to the specific niche.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be afraid of, like, I do feel weight loss is different, hence why I don't do weight loss so much, because it's not that specific targeted problem like fungus or nerve or anything is.
Yeah, it's not a very specific problem that I'm faced with every day. It's like a general.
It's more of a general. Yeah. So I don't believe what my structure I'm using for these niches would work for weight loss.
Okay.
But I know what my structure for nerve, even though nerve and say fungus are very different problems, it's still targeted. So I'm just talking, right, okay, what do people problems that people face with this specific issue? What benefits are they wanting, and how did they find, and having that story ad copy to find the solution. So yeah, just being able to, as long as, I wouldn't initially want that focus on 1, maybe 2 to get some initial success, but also as an affiliate, I can flow with it. So if I feel like, okay, my 1 and 2 core are doing well, great, I can test that 3, 4, and 5th one, because I know things are good. So if these are working, I should be able to do it over here. But then if everything's sort of wavy and like, oh, okay, none of them are really doing it, okay, I'll just come back to my 1 or 2 core ones. And that's the great thing about being an affiliate, is you just flow. You spend more when things are good, you spend less when things aren't so good.
So let you balance your profit margin a bit, right? Where it's like, if this campaign is doing really well, you can kind of take that profit, and obviously you're taking some home for yourself, but then you can split it across more bets, essentially.
Absolutely.
And then,
because if I'm those small budgets, like if I'm literally only testing those small budgets and they're not doing well, it hurts, because it's like, oh, all that money's going out. But if I've got 1 or 2 doing well at scale, those small budgets then are like, oh, okay, that's fine, because it's only a small percentage of my overall. So yeah, absolutely, being able to go across like that. And that's why when things are a little bit wavy and I'm pulling back, that's why then I'll shrink how many products I do and how many niches, because it can hurt a lot when
So you
you
reduce the bleed when things are not going well, but you still keep things moving. But yeah.
With a better perspective overall. I mean, it makes so much sense, right? Just to create a more holistic approach to affiliate media buying. Now, one thing let me ask you this, because I think it's something I always encourage affiliates to do more of, is have more diversification in their offers. I think you bring a good point. Like, you might have to make sure that you could have a templatized way to approach that.
Yes.
So what were some of the other changes, or I'd say limitations, that you ran into when you first started trying to offer, or say run more than one offer
It's like
at a time?
it's almost when you're like in a medium scale, let's call it. Like,
Yeah.
what was holding you back from a big scale and like op side? Is that kind of
Yeah, just going from like one and that kind of feast or famine approach to then, okay, now I'm going to go to a couple and bring more in. Like, what were some of the maybe operational challenges that you had to overcome for that? And if none, that's great too.
Yeah,
If you had nothing, you're just like, I was so good, there was nothing I had to worry about. But
it was just having that structure.
Yeah.
You know, and also just trying to keep things as simple as possible and know what you're good at. So if I'm trying to do all those different niches and I'm trying different angles or different types of copy and different scaling opportunity, different scaling tactics, I'm probably going to fail, because I just don't, as an affiliate, I don't have the time, energy, and effort to be figuring that all out across the board.
Yeah.
But if I've got that specific structure that I know works, and I'm just doing small tweaks per niche, and I'm following this testing facility, like the small budgets,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying all this, then it's easier to be able to do that across the board. So yeah, I think, like, I've tried, I suppose obstacles is like, okay, going for a niche that doesn't work with images. I've tried it and had a bit of success, but then as things struggled, like, I just don't have that system in place to keep it going all the time, energy, and effort. So I suppose that is just knowing, okay, this is what I'm good at, and making that decision, because there's the other way of doing it, I guess, of like, and this plays on my mind sometimes, like, should I just focus on one niche and be like, okay, well, I know I'm good at story ad copy images, stick in this niche and now get good at videos for that niche and now get good at short ad copy? And sometimes that does go on my mind. Should I just be an expert in one niche? Or do I take what I'm good at, story-based image, and spread it across? And so far, that's what I found to be easier.
Yeah.
And I guess it might work, just being an expert in one niche and doing that, because you're just spreading out in a different way. But for me, if I've got something that I know works, I know it'll work in these different niches. So it just gives me a little bit more, like I said, that consistency, the being able to see things.
I feel like you have a little more
across a bigger
defense
picture.
too, if Meta or if you're running YouTube is like, oh, we don't like this niche anymore. You're a
Yeah,
little more.
yeah.
like,
I think it's interesting. Is I think both. Let's look back. I think one of the big things you said is like, know thyself, right? You got to know yourself. So first, if you're not sure what to do, look inward first. I think that was one of the great things that you said earlier. Is I find I do a lot better when I go back to me.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is, what do you want, right? If you're like, if my skill set is just knowing the language of a specific niche, you're like, I just know them. I know these people. I know everything they want, know, and like. Let me just fill in all the different ways to sell to them, because I'm just really good at that. But for you, it's like, no, I'm just really good at the copy and the structure. I know this type of media buying. Like, I got this dialed in. So great. How many different ways can we make this successful? So I think it's almost, you could remove some of that if you know yourself.
Yes.
And find out what's for you. Now, I like your method more, because I think what Thomas is saying, the defensive, man, if you were, for example, if you only knew weight loss and like, weight loss is your thing, you might be like, things are really hard. This Ozempic thing seems to really make things challenging in weight loss. Or we've been through like, bands where they just go through and say, we'd like no one to say this anymore. Yeah. And now you're in a really rough spot because you don't have that diversity. Now you might be able to beat everyone else because you know the language better, but you might not have the traffic sources available anymore. So a really good example of this is what happened to men's dating when Me Too came through. It wiped out an entire vertical. And the way that they spoke and the way that their language was completely shifted almost overnight for them and eroded that entire industry, right? So I really like the diversity just from a personal standpoint. So with this, man, this is amazing. I realized we could go. We've already gone over an hour, and we'll continue to go.
You're so eloquent being jet lagged. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. See, I told you. This
Yeah.
is the key to jet lag, everybody. So if you're on a long flight, just have a podcast scheduled. Get off, and you'll be great. We'll bring right back to normal. So, but dude, this was amazing. Really, really appreciate your time. Appreciate having you here. By the way, what activity are you doing when you head up there? Are you
the excursion.
snowmobiling?
Oh, snowmobile.
Oh, me too.
there
That's
you
gonna go.
go.
Rip and
Oh,
run.
yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't get canceled.
I was going
but-
to say, last time I was down for it as well, we ended up snow
for
walking.
avalanche.
Yeah,
last
we did
time.
snowshoeing.
Yeah,
Yes.
snowshoeing
Yes,
last
the gold
time, so-
snowshoeing. Were you in the group with me? Can't remember who it was. They lost their cell phone and ended up
Yes.
finding it. Yeah,
Yes.
who was that?
Thomas.
Dude? It was Thomas.
It was
Okay,
Thomas.
not you,
different
Thomas.
Thomas,
Different
yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was almost the
And then had
worst
to walk
thing
back
ever.
up to he found it though.
I'll
He
say
did.
if
It was
snowmobiling chain goes to snowshoeing, I will also cancel that excursion for myself.
It's not too bad. It's not snowmobiling, but it's not too bad.
I like a powered mechanism to drive me through the snow, not myself. Yeah.
Well, beautiful. I'm really excited to get on the snowmobiles and
Yeah.
definitely beat Thomas. He's secretly super competitive too.
It's not so
So-
secret. We did a personality test, and turns out,
Yeah, he was like #1 competitions.
Yeah.
So he's also way too good at any dad sport. So if it requires high levels of hand-eye coordination, Thomas will beat you. He'll beat everybody. Yeah, it's infuriating and amazing all at the same time. So, but enjoy that. We're gonna obviously we're gonna go shoot some guns, which will be really fun too. Excited to spend the afternoon with you. Really appreciate your time for this. I hope you guys appreciate it too. This is really honestly one of. I think there's more in this podcast if you're media buying at any level than almost any other podcast we've had, because they're core strategies and principles I think anyone could drive out of this and really make their business better, especially the media buying world. So anyway, guys, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and also please email us with any questions at affiliated@clickbank.com. Particularly, too, we always like to say, if you're looking for a new hat or maybe a new sticker or a new thing for Thomas to fidget, please send us some recommendations. Who knows, it might make it on the podcast. If it's a good one, it definitely will, because I will buy it and make Thomas have it. So with that, Thomas, if there's no other questions, what do we tell the people when we leave?
Happy skating.
There it is. Awesome. Until next time, guys, be safe.